August in my bullet journal is this cozy theme inspired by the inside of a witch's cottage. I don't know if it's just because it's been unseasonably warm in Brisbane this year, or if it's because I have a holiday planned in autumn in the Northern Hemisphere soon and I just can't wait. Either way, I'm so excited to share this warm and cozy theme with you. Hi, I'm Erin, thank you for clicking on my video. Usually I like to go into my bullet journal layouts with some forward planning, and I have a whole video about how I approach that, but for this one I felt like winging it. I had asked my channel members to help me choose a theme, and we leaned in the direction of a witchy apothecary sort of vibe. So this is just me going through all of my stationery and finding things that I think will work together within that theme and that look good together and form a colour scheme on their own without me really having to select one. Actually, I'm not sure it's really going to end up serving apothecary. It's maybe more of a witchy academia vibe, but I think that is still okay. I'm still enjoying it. I'm also discovering as I go through everything here that I have a lot of autumn-themed mushroom stationery. I've decided to use my Tom Studio pen for this setup with the brush tip attachment. This one is the Lumos Pro Duo, so it has two pens in one. And I'm inking it from a sample that my friend gave me of the Diamine Writer's Blood, which is a beautiful kind of burgundy red. That seems to be a colour that has popped up in a lot of the stationery items I've chosen, so I thought this would be a good way to pull them all together. I'm very new to the world of fountain pen inks, and I think usually I tend to go for the shiny ones. This one is not shimmery and sparkly, but I think it will work really well for the theme. Speaking of things that are shiny and sparkly, I wanted to show you my favourite way to bring a little bit of extra sparkle to my everyday thanks to today's video sponsor, Ana Luisa. I'll show you which pieces I'm loving right now in a sec, but first let me introduce you in case you aren't familiar. Ana Luisa is a jewellery company that ticks all the boxes for me across aesthetic, durability and sustainability. Their pieces are dainty and beautiful, which is exactly how I like my jewellery, but also tarnish resistant. All their pieces undergo strength and humidity testing to ensure they'll stand the test of time. They offer free and fast US shipping, affordable worldwide shipping, a 2-year warranty on all products, and the brand is carbon neutral and climate neutral certified. I feel like most people associate Ana Luisa with sweet little gold pieces, and I have some of those from their collection and I love them, but you might not know that they also have a gorgeous range of silver pieces too, which as a cool tone gal makes me very happy. I'm currently living in the Elise silver huggy hoops with pretty little teardrop cubic zirconias. These are my new everyday earrings. I don't take them out to sleep or to shower or to exercise, I just live in them. They're the perfect little pop of sparkle without being too glam for everyday wear. I'm very into layered necklaces at the moment, so the willow coin necklace set is my new go-to. The chain with the coin is ever so slightly longer than the textured chain, so they fall perfectly together and they don't get tangled up while you wear them. This is the Celine Eternity ring. Is she not the definition of elegance and simplicity? And they have a handy size guide on the website, so it's easy to work out which size is your best fit. These three are the perfect complement to my Rowena bracelet, which is going strong after a solid 9 months of frequent wear. And for all my gold lovers, all 4 of these pieces are also available in gold. You're welcome. Right now, Ana Luisa are running their Buy More, Save More sale, so if you buy 3 or more items, you'll get 25% off your order. For the most discerning jewellery aficionados, you can join Ana Luisa Luxe, which is their subscription program, and bump that discount up to 30%. AL Luxe gets you perks like special discounts and early access to sales, and the money you spend on the subscription gets credited to your account so you can use the balance to make purchases in the future. You can check out the membership tab on Ana Luisa's website to find out more. I have a link in the description so you can check out Ana Luisa's gorgeous pieces for yourself, and don't forget to show me what you choose, especially if it's something that matches mine. Thanks to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video and fostering my magpie tendencies. Now let's get stuck into this cover spread. Because I'm not going into this setup with any kind of plan in mind, I'm really just getting the things I'm planning to work with and experimenting with them. So placing them on the page, moving things around until I like the way they look, and then ripping things up and adding glue to them and sticking them down, which is generally how I approach most of my setups. I just usually think about it a bit more before I jump in, unless it's in my reading journal. The paper I'm using here that looks like a letter is from Paper Monogatari's Tiny Bookshop collection. The floral one at the bottom is from a set of origami papers from Daiso that I really like because they're gold gilded. And the one that looks like a book cover is also from Paper Monogatari from the Tiny Bookshop collection. It's just too pretty to tear this one up. I didn't want to ruin it, so I'm just going to put it on the page as is. Originally, I'd also been planning to include a quote in this spread, but I changed my mind on that because that left page filled up really quickly, so then I thought, it's kind of already full. I don't really have space to add a quote on the left side, and I'll have my August heading quite large on the right side, so I didn't want to eat into that space with more text either, so I decided just to skip the quote this time. I'm using 2 washi tapes that have kind of smaller designs on them that you can cut out and use as individual stickers if you like. Those are both from JOURNALSAY. I have a discount code for JOURNALSAY. If you like, you can use my code Erin to get 8% off. And I will have links to everything I'm using in this video in the description too, in case you'd like to get your hands on anything specific. This is actually my very first time using the brush tip on the Tom Studio Duo Lumos pen. I get the name wrong every time I say it. I tell you what though, I'm pretty impressed with it. This feels quite similar to using something like the Pentel brush sign pens, which I love. I didn't realize when using the half of the pen that screws into the top half of the other pen in the Duo, it's really hard to describe. It's 2 pens in one, and one of them is just a pen end with a lid, and the other end screws into the barrel of the pen, if that makes sense. So the second one, when you ink that up, you have to be really careful with the way that you attach the piece that holds the nib in place within the pen. You kind of have to give it a backwards turn before you screw it in forwards, or it will go in a bit wonky, and then it won't sit all the way in the pen. And if you do this, you can't then put the pen back into itself so that the nib that you've chosen is covered and protected. And because I hadn't realized that I'd done it wrong, I kind of just had my pen sitting out for 2 days while I set this up, and the nib was drying out, and it was a bit of a thing. So things to remember if you're interested in getting one of these pens, just be careful how you screw things together. Make sure they're very, very straight. So far I am really enjoying using this pen though. It's still quite new to me, but I do have a discount code for it if you'd like to check them out. They are infinitely refillable, reusable pens from Tom Studio. They're not the cheapest, but it is an investment. You can use my code ErinsmithArt to get 10% off. When I'm not planning out my theme like this, I feel like the cover spread is a way for me to work out how these materials will interact together and how I might use them on the subsequent pages. And I do think we're starting to get the Witchy Cottage vibe coming through here, so I'm very happy with the direction this is going. This probably would have made a great October theme actually, but because I'm going to be away for so much of October, I wouldn't actually get to use it that much, and I didn't want to wait that long, so we're going with it for August instead. I'm happy with where the cover spread is at here, so I'm going to stop before I kind of make it too much, and we're going to turn the page and move on to my calendar spread. As well as everything that I've already used on the cover page, I also wanted to introduce these washi tapes from Notebook Therapy. These are from the Lunar Mystery set, and when I bought them, I definitely thought I'd be waiting for October, but they're too much fun to wait that long. I am a Notebook Therapy affiliate, so I have a discount code for you if you'd like to save 10% on your order at Notebook Therapy. You can use my code Erin, but I actually bought these ones myself. These were not gifted from the brand, I paid for them. Usually I like to set up the functional parts of my layout first and then jump in and decorate. I kind of have a pretty good idea of how much space I need for my typical calendar setup, so I thought I would throw caution to the wind and decorate first and then add the actual calendar part, but that wasn't my best idea ever. The page is going to end up looking a little bit unbalanced, but not so much that it's going to bother me or affect the way that I use it, so it's fine. Just things I should have thought about first. I didn't end up centering the calendar very well. You'll see. Because so much of this theme already is mixing patterns and torn edges, and I wanted it to feel a little bit lived in, I've decided to go freehand for my lines this time. I love a ruled line, I love the precision of a very straight line, I just wasn't feeling it this time, and it is much faster, I will say, to set up your lines this way than it is to mess around with rulers, so I really appreciated how much quicker this was to set up. But you can kind of already see the left top kind of heavy orientation of where I'm placing this calendar. It could have stood to come down a little bit, to be honest. The nature of a 7-day week means that a calendar is always probably going to be a little bit wonky unless you're willing to have your Thursday sit across the binding of the book, and I really don't love doing that, so it's kind of a sacrifice you have to make, but if I just brought it down a little bit on the page, that could have been better. Also, whenever I'm using inks, I always think, oh, I'll just use lots of stamps in this setup and that will be a cool base layer right on the bottom of the page. And then I do it like once and I don't end up doing it again. I have this set of silicone stamps that I'm realizing now are probably for people who like to do calligraphy and fountain pen ink swatches, so that's going to be very handy for future me. But I liked the way the ink bottle looked. I wasn't so into this nib up in the top corner here, so we're actually going to cover that with a sneaky sticker. We're also going to move these moons up. I am forever changing my mind about where I want things located on the page, and it did tear the page a little, but I'm covering it with different washi anyway, so it doesn't matter. This washi is from the Tiny Bookshop collection from Paper Monogatari. Seriously, if you haven't checked out Anna's shop yet, Paper Monogatari is an incredible resource, particularly for people who bullet journal, because it is designed by a wonderful woman who bullet journals, so she gets what we're looking for. I'm using this fountain pen. I've been using it quite a bit lately. It's technically not mine, it belongs to my partner. It's a Lamy Safari, I think. I've used that to put the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday over the heading for each of the calendar columns. You can see it pretty easily in real life. It's not really showing up too well on camera, but I promise you can see it over that writer's blood ink that's red underneath. Of course, every good calendar needs some numbers, so we'll add some numbers with a Sakura Pigma Micron, nice and small in the top left corner. This is the 01 size. I think I used the 08 to do the calendar lines, which is why there's such a big difference in the line weight there. And then we can continue decorating this spread. This is the kind of theme where you could play with it forever, you just have to decide when it's time to stop. Here's the grid spacing guide for this calendar in case you want to copy it. I would recommend moving it down a couple boxes. Let's move on to the next spread. For this one, I'm going to have my goals section on the left page. I'm introducing a reflection section as well, because that's not something I've ever done month to month in my bullet journal, but I've included it in the mystery journal, and I'm very interested to see how it would work for me, so that's something I'm adding in. And on the right page, we'll have my habit tracker, but we'll get to that in a bit. This one is going to be a much more loose kind of a layout, so I'm less worried about decorating first and adding functional things second. The paper I've started with tearing up there is actually an envelope that came from the sticky vintage advent calendar, and I've just been hoarding it for the opportune moment, and here we are. It has kind of a vintage mushroom studies field notes kind of vibe, which is very fun and appropriate because from this spread forward I'm going to be introducing quite a few stickers from Sticky. Not these ones, these are from Paper Monogatari, but the ones on the right side that look like stained glass and lots of similar looking sticker sheets, kind of oriented like that, are from Sticky. Goal setting is something I've really fallen behind on this year, and I'm kind of alright with that. I feel like I needed to give myself a bit of a break, but I'm trying to get back into it. If you watched my flip through video of my first journal for the year recently, then you may already know that my main goal for the year, the only one I've set so far, is to be able to do the splits by Christmas. So I don't know, do you want updates on that? Let me know if you do and I'll see what I can do about it. But I'm just leaving myself a little bit of space here for some monthly goals, and on the opposite side, some space for reflection. So there'll be a little bit more space for reflection. I honestly didn't go in and measure these sections at all. I just eyeballed it and wrote the headings where I thought they would fit really well. I'm penciling everything out so I can make sure that I'm doing some nice flourishing on my lettering because that's something I really enjoy. So I won't be giving you a grid spacing cheat sheet kind of guide for this page because I didn't measure anything. It's just kind of slapped it down on the page. But if you wanted to do something similar, you could just divide the page into 2 columns, work out where the center is, allow some space for decoration at the top and bottom, so probably something like 6 or 7 dot grid spaces for decoration, and then you just do your functional part in the left column at the top and in the right column sort of halfway down the page. And that's my lazy girl's guide to setting up a page like this one. To give the page a bit of extra visual interest and to make it really clear where I'm going to be writing my goals and my reflection parts here, I'm using a Tombow dual brush pen to highlight every second line. This is the 992 and it's a really nice, very light beige with a bit of a green undertone. Speaking of lazy girl ways to do things, over here on the right page where we're setting up my habit tracker, I thought I would use one of these kind of calendar templates from this Paper Monogatari sticker sheet. I don't think you can get this one anymore. I'm very sorry about that if you can't. My plan here is just to put a little dot in the appropriate place for the day for each of the times that I do the habit, but I didn't realize the second one from the sheet here is actually 1 row longer than the others, so I had to peel that one back up and cut the bottom off it to make them all the same size. But once we've got that sorted, then this page is going to look cute. I wish I didn't have that line of marker down where it's kind of denoting the top of where that habit will sit, because that's going to limit how much space I have for the one at the top, which means it's going to kind of go under that book sticker a little bit, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm really only interested in tracking 3 habits at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and write them in with my 01 Pigma Micron as well. At the top is vitamins, because I'm trying to make sure that I'm taking care of my gut health at the moment, exercise, and go out, which is literally just making sure that I leave my house sometimes, because I can be a total recluse if I'm not careful. If you caught my recent video where I did an August setup in the mystery journal using lots of cute Hubman and Chubgirl items, then you might have seen something along the lines of the way I'm going to decorate this page before, very recently. It's kind of inspired by a gallery wall, and I just have so many things that seemed perfect for that I thought, let's go for it, especially these little bugs, like an entomology kind of a thing. So fun. If you saw that video and you're thinking like, wow, Erin's doing the same thing twice in a row, you gotta remember that I actually set that mystery journal up back in May, so it's been a couple of months actually since I did that, and I sort of forgot about it, and as I was editing the video I was like, wow, that looks really cute. Let's try that again with my own stuff this time. It's a little bit different to the way I usually approach my decoration, because it's not about layering, it's about kind of placing things in gaps, and that can be quite difficult for me. Also, this sticker sheet came with the Notebook Therapy washi tape set earlier, and I didn't even know until I was halfway through this setup, so that was a really nice little surprise. There were actually 3 in there, and I had no idea, so lucky I stumbled across them, because they are indeed perfect for this theme. The habit tracker is set, so we're going to turn the page and move on to my content planner. And I am changing this up a little bit for the month of August, because I thought of something that I might benefit from including, mostly inspiration from Jashi Corinne, because she plans stuff real good. In case you weren't aware, I have the channel membership program here on YouTube where you can join the channel and get extra perks. And one of the extra perks for my Jubilant Journals and Page Mages tier channel members is a members only live stream every month. And I've been having trouble working that into my schedule. Also, likewise, for the Page Mages, we have a book club chat at the end of every month, and that is kind of dependent on the people who are participating's availability. So I wanted to have an extra column that is just for my members' stuff. So if you haven't seen the way I do this content planner in the past, I have half the month on the left page, half the month on the right page, and each column is for a different platform. So usually I just do Instagram and YouTube. This time we're doing Instagram, YouTube, and specifically members only YouTube stuff. If you'd like to know more about what my channel members get versus what a regular subscriber gets, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or you can hit the join button down below to find out some more info too. Now, I realize that a content planning spread might not be useful for everyone who's watching this video. If you don't especially care about growing social media followings and they aren't kind of part of your job like they are for me, then have a think about ways that you could adapt this spread into something that would be beneficial for you. Like, do you have due dates at work across different projects that interconnect? Or is it to do with assignments for different subjects for you at school maybe? This could be a different way of doing a habit tracker or kind of a chores chart if you are dividing up jobs between yourself and housemates or siblings that you live with or something like that. This could be a fun way to do that, to know whose job it is to take the bins out, you know. Just because I use a setup in a particular way doesn't mean that that's the only way it can be used. So while you're watching my videos or anyone else's videos or scrolling journaling content on Instagram and you see a layout that you really like that you don't think applies to you, I'm certain you can find a way to apply it to you if you want to. You might need to adapt things a little bit. You might need more columns than me or less columns than me, or you might want it to run horizontally across the page instead of top to bottom, but give it a go. I challenge you. See what you can do with this setup. Since this is indeed a content planner for me, I'm actually going to go ahead and highlight some days here. This might seem completely arbitrary to anyone else, but these are the days that my videos go live on YouTube, so it helps me to have them really stand out a little bit here. Technically, the Tuesdays that I'm highlighting is not actually the day my videos go live, but my Tuesday videos that I consider them in my head actually go live at 2 a.m. Wednesday my time, so I still want them ready for Tuesday so that I can schedule it and go to bed, you know. Here's the grid spacing guide for the content planner, and we're not actually going to turn the page yet. We're going to switch to a different journal, which might sound a bit weird, but this is my cash flow journal. This is my finance journal. I used to keep all of my money information in my bullet journal, but recently, for purposes of keeping it a little bit more private and separate, I've started moving it into this traveler size journal instead. And I made a whole video about this journal recently, in case you'd like to see that. I asked in that video if you'd like to still see me set up my spending tracker pages, or if I should just not show you that anymore, and the overwhelming majority of responses that I got about that was positively, yes, please still show us your cash flow pages. So here we are setting up the August cash flow spending kind of pages. This is where I track what I spend my money on. If you want the full in-depth run-through of how I use this and how it all works in this separate journal, then you can please go and watch the other video, but basically I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version here. It's just 4 columns here. One is item, one is category, one is cost, and one is a tick, or check mark depending on where you are in the world. We call it a tick here in Australia. In the item column, I write down what it was that I bought, a quick description. In the category column, I assign it to a category that I have predetermined, a bunch of categories that kind of cover all of my spending throughout the year. So I work out which one of those it best fits into and I write that down. Usually it's a lot of the same stuff over and over again because monthly subscriptions, you know. The cost category is where I write down how much it cost, and then the tick is for at the end of the month when I'm calculating everything, totaling it all up by category just to show that I have counted that item. Then there's one more table on this last page here. It's kind of 4 pages to a month, and that's the totals for each of the categories. So this one will just have 2 columns. It'll be the name of the category in the left and the total amount that I spent on that category in the right. And then I can transfer all that information over to a master kind of cash flow in and out log that is earlier on in the journal and really see if there are trends in my spending. I have income and savings trackers as well earlier on in the journal, but I also have spreadsheets for this stuff because I do run small businesses, so I just feel like when it comes to spending, writing it all down by hand helps me keep track of things a bit better. I am not someone who overspends easily. I'm also not someone who is super duper frugal. I kind of seem to hit a sweet spot somewhere in the middle there, but this just helps me be mindful of stuff. And I do like to decorate the cover page a little bit to match with the theme in the main journal, and I like to decorate that kind of category totals page a bit as well, but I don't put anywhere near as much effort into this one as what I do in the main bullet journal stuff, because this is just a quick and functional kind of journal for me. Spending log pages are all set up. I don't really feel like I need to tell you the grid spacing here because I have done that in the other video, so we'll skip that for now. And let's carry on back to the original bullet journal, turn the page, and we're going to do my first weekly for the month of August. I shot myself in the foot a little bit here because I'm doing some traveling in the first couple of weeks of August, and I had told myself I was going to make an extra box. You can see I've penciled out my boxes here. I also wrote 31, completely skipping 30. That's okay, we'll fix that in a minute. I had set myself up some pencil boxes so that I knew where some lines are going to go soon, and I did 8 on purpose because I wanted to have space for a packing list, and then I forgot and I got rid of the 8th one, and we're going to fill it in with decoration, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. I'll do my packing list somewhere else, but it is kind of funny how things like that happen. You just forget while you're doing it what the purpose was. It's hilarious. I decided I didn't want the planning space of my weeklies to be within a box this time though. That's kind of my go-to. I usually put boxes around things. I wanted this one to feel a bit more loose and floaty and I guess a bit haphazard. So while I did draw the boxes out in pencil, I actually just used them as a guide for where to place the stickers for each name of the day of the week and then where the lines of marker would go underneath that, and that's how I'm denoting my planning space. And of course, then we decorate. I haven't been doing my weekly live streams so much recently, not live streams that I do weekly, but live streams where I set up the rest of my weekly spreads. I'm hoping to get back to that for the month of August. We'll see how we go, but no promises, but I'm really hoping to get back to it because it's so much fun to do these with you. Something that I'm finding really challenging lately as a content creator is time zones, because I have so many wonderful subscribers all over the world and I think that is truly incredible, but there is no such thing as a live stream time that's going to be convenient for everyone, because when it is the middle of the night in some places, it is like 10 in the morning for me, or if I say let's do it on a weekend but it's actually still like Friday morning for some people, like it's just really tricky. So it's a difficult one to balance and someone's always going to miss out. And for the places where you live your life while I am asleep, those people are going to miss out more often than other people. And I feel really bad about that. And that kind of paralyzes me. And then I'm like, well, maybe I just shouldn't do them because people are going to miss out. But then that's no fun for the people who wouldn't miss out. And then I also miss out. And so it's a really difficult line to walk. So if you see me scheduling a live stream and it's at a really difficult time for you, please know that I'm sorry. I'm doing my best and I will try to make sure that there's something for everyone, but it's just, yeah. I used to have to get up at 4 a.m. to take photography webinars when I was studying things to do with photography business, so I get it, trust me, I get it. On that very cheerful note, we've actually finished setting up the first weekly for the month of August, which means it's time to flip through and see how it all looks together. I hope you have enjoyed this little look into my witchy, not quite apothecary theme. I know for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, it probably doesn't feel very nice to feel cozy right now because it's still summer for you guys, but it's winter for us and this feels really right for me. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, make sure you jump into the comments down below and let me know whereabouts in the world you're based. And don't forget to check out Ana Luisa for up to 30% off beautiful pieces of jewelry that will add some extra sparkle to your everyday. If you'd like to keep watching, I have a video linked in the top right corner to my July setup in my bullet journal, which is very much inspired by Bridgerton. Underneath that, there is a link to August in the Mystery Journal, which is a journal that I set up for 6 months and then give away to someone else.